Hi, thank you so much. We're excited to be here today. My name is Danielle Hall, and I'm the early talent recruiter who works at Kohl's with our college students. I do oversee the Southeast and the South Central territories of the company, recruiting specifically for our store management opportunities. I did start my career with Kohl's about 5.5 years ago as a college student, just like you all. I did graduate from Texas State University in San Marcos, Texas. I came to know about Kohl's at a career fair, did their store management internship, went on to complete our store manager and training program, which is now known as our store leadership trainee program. After that, I was placed as an assistant store manager and did that role for about 3.5 years before I came over to the recruiting side. I'm super excited to still get to recruit the students that I started off with in the company. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Chelsea Spear, who is my peer out in the field.
Hi, everyone. Like Danielle said, my name is Chelsea. Very similar to Danielle's story. I also went to Texas State, got recruited by Kohl's as an intern my junior year of college, went on to do the manager in training or the store leadership training program. It was very, just relaxing to know my senior year that I did have a job lined up for me once I did graduate. From doing the manager in training position after graduation, I went on, was an assistant store manager for about 3 years, then went on to be a store manager for another 3 years. And then I went into my current role as a recruiter as well. I am recruiting for the store positions, but I'm in the Southwest territory. And that is pretty much everything about me. I also like to recruit for the same position that I was hired into. So definitely a full circle moment. And then I will pass it on to Lauren.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lauren. I'm an assistant store manager at the Sunset Valley store in Austin, Texas. I also an alumni of Texas State University in San Marcos. I started as an intern, and then after my senior year, started as a manager in training. And then I've been in my position now for a couple years, but I've been with the company as a whole for almost 4. But you'll hear a little bit more about my story here in a minute.
Awesome. Ryan, we'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, hi everybody. So my name is Ryan. I am currently a store manager with Kohl's. Very similar to everybody else. I started as an intern from college. I went to Virginia Tech, so I'm the only one who didn't go to Texas State. But I went to Virginia Tech. I did the internship program my junior year. And then after graduating, I did the store leadership trainee program. I was an assistant manager for about 2.5 years before becoming a store manager, which I've been in role for about 4 years now. Very happy to be here tonight and excited to share a little bit more.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ryan, Lauren, and Chelsea. The next thing that we're going to do before we jump into our panel with our store manager and assistant store manager is I'm going to touch a little bit on the roles that we're recruiting for right now. That way, if any of you are interested or you might be interested in some of our other positions, we can kind of explain to you how to go about getting involved with those opportunities. So as far as our store opportunities that we are recruiting for, my team specifically, we do have that store leadership internship that all of us mentioned that we did do starting off. This is for our junior level students, and it is a paid opportunity that takes place in our store location during the summer. So you'll start June 5th and it runs for 8 weeks with us. You'll work in a store location that's closest to your home address for the summer. So we'll make sure that we get you really close to home so it's convenient for you to make it into the store. You'll work alongside an awesome store team, along with a store manager, a district manager, assistant store manager like Lauren is, and then also our supervisor and our regular part-time teams. So if you're one that's interested in learning how to lead a team, you're one that likes to merchandise, if you like operations, if you're one that doesn't want to sit behind a desk from 9 to 5, I think that this is an awesome opportunity for you to look into. My peer Chelsea is going to be dropping a link into the chat here in just a little bit, and you can click on it, go into that link, fill out your interest, let us know what department that you're looking at, and we can get you set up with a recruiter so that you can begin the interview process. And looking at the next position that we have, so that's that store leadership trainee position that a lot of you heard us say as MIT. The name has changed. It's the same program. We just kind of evolved the name a little bit. The MIT or store leadership trainee position is for senior students. And basically what happens is you're going to do that internship during your junior year. If everything goes well, you're a fit for the company, vice versa, you would be offered that SLT or store leadership trainee position that's full-time. You would go back to your campus, finish out your senior year, and then once you graduate, you would come on with us at the store full-time. And you don't have to start off as a junior in the internship program. We do hire seniors straight into the full-time store leadership trainee program. So if you're one that's a senior right now, that's totally fine. We can definitely look at getting you started in that SLT program. So like I said, Chelsea's going to be dropping that link in. Feel free to express interest to us and we'll get back with you as soon as possible and get you set up for opportunities. If you're looking for other opportunities outside of just the store leadership roles that we have, we can't really talk to it too much because we are on the store side, but we do have a ton of other recruiters that work on our corporate side that we can connect you with. So still, please do fill out that link and just differentiate what you're looking for. So if you're looking into marketing or a corporate side, you know, tech or digital or e-commerce, be sure that you do select that as an option on the form so that we know what recruiter to get you into contact with. So I think that that's all that I have as far as explaining our roles. What we're going to do now is I'm going to pass it over to Lauren and Ryan, and we're going to have them kind of go over their journey with Kohl, so where they started to where they're at now. And then after they're both done, we would love to open it up to questions from you all. So feel free to drop those in the chat, or when we're done, if you want to unmute yourself, that's totally fine. But without further ado, let's go ahead and pass it over, and we'll have Lauren go first. Lauren, if you want to share a little bit about your journey with us, please.
All right, thank you, Danielle. So I was first introduced to Kohl's as a sophomore. At the time, we had our sophomore career expo, and I had to have an internship to graduate with my degree. So my teachers had always, said, make sure you're looking at companies, make sure you're looking into everything, meeting everyone you possibly can. So I'd heard about Kohl's sophomore expo, and I just went to go see, what it was about, what Kohl's offered. And I met some really great people. I met the head recruiter. I met some of the store managers at a nearby store, and I was able to kind of see like what a day-to-day looks like in the store, kind of see what it's all about. I had always worked in retail, so retail obviously interested in me. It was something that I knew, but I had never been in a leadership role necessarily in any of the stores that I worked at. So it was just a really great overview of the company. And then I really stayed in contact with the recruiters throughout the rest of my college career, just because I knew that we had a really great connection. I liked the company, I liked what it was about. And so when my junior year rolled around and I needed an internship, I ended up interviewing with Kohl's, learned more, loved some more about it, met the district manager, met some store managers, and decided to do my internship with Kohl's my junior year going into my senior year. So it was really like the first leadership position I had in a retail space. So it was, a little bit nerve-wracking because you're going to a store with people who have worked there 10 years and you're coming in a fresh college student with not a lot of leadership experience. But the program is really great. It sets you up really well to be confident in your role and, kind of know what you're doing going into, anywhere else after the internship. So the 8 weeks goes by really fast. So I was given a department and you're given complete leadership over that department. You can make merchandising decisions. You get a team to help you lead that department, and you're really just given a lot of independence, and your store manager puts a lot of trust in you to oversee that department, make your own decisions, impact sales, impact store growth, things like that. So between that and between learning operations process, business acumen, learning how to lead a team, learning how to deal with conflict in your team. I mean, it's a lot in 8 weeks, but it's just like a little taste of everything else. And, the SLT program or MIT program is really where you get to dig more into those leadership skills. So everything went really great with my internship, and I was offered the MIT. So after I graduated college, I started my MIT program, or now SLT program, at the store where I'm currently at. So I've been at this store ever since my MIT program. And I did my internship program at a much smaller store, which was a really great opportunity to learn everything at a smaller scale. And then for my MIT program, I was at a larger store. It was quite a bit larger than the other stores, so it's a little bit more challenging. It's a bigger team, a lot more inventory, just a lot more to deal with. So with the MIT, like I said, you really just get a taste of the internship, and then the 12-week program with the SLT. You learn a lot more. You dive a little bit deeper into everything. There's a lot more responsibility because they're really getting you ready to be a full-time assistant store manager. So, you're learning everything else, diving deeper. You just really get a lot of great training in that time because they are preparing you to be an assistant store manager. So I've been at the store ever since. I was placed here a little bit after I graduated college, and I have been here ever since. I'm currently over operations and back at the house department, so home, kids, and shoes. I love numbers. That's where the operations really comes in for me. Day to day, I do a lot of the hiring. I do truck. I still do merchandising. So what I love about what I do is it's never boring. It's always something different, and you get to do a little bit of everything. So, merchandising, HR stuff with hiring and recruiting, and I get to do events like this. And then just the people side of it. From day one, I really connected with some great people, and the staff I have is great. You just make a lot of great connections, and it really helps you grow as a leader. And I have been a coach for other interns and store leadership trainees ever since I was an intern. So you really get to do a lot of mentorship work, and that helps you grow as leader as well. So that's a little bit about my journey. I think I covered everything. It's a lot of information in 3.5 years. But yeah, that's everything about me.
Right. Hi, everybody. So very similar to Lauren's journey. I stumbled upon Kohl's my junior year, actually, at a career fair. I had never worked in retail before, never really had my eye on being a store leader as a career path. I just kind of stumbled upon Kohl's at a career fair, really liked the vibe when I talked to the recruiter that was there. So I figured, why not submit an application? Went through the first round of interviews, went through the last round of interviews, and then they offered me a position as an intern the summer before my senior year. So I did the internship program, and it turns out I really enjoyed what we were doing on a daily basis. So one of the things that really draws me to retail as a career path is that every day is something different. So like Lauren said, it's never boring. You can come into work and you have this game plan of what you want to do, but then something comes up and then you have to think outside of the box and move things around. And it really keeps you on your toes. I'm not behind my desk for 9 hours, which I love. I'm on the floor, I'm working either alongside my team or interacting with customers. So that's something that really draws me to retail as a career. After I finished the internship program, so it's an 8-week program. For someone who's never done retail before, it was a lot of learning for me when I first started. So everything from learning how to operate a register to learning like merchandising basics. But I picked up on it pretty quickly. They eventually put me in charge of the shoes department during back to school, during the internship program. And one of the things that was super rewarding for me was at the end of the internship, you lead a store walk with a district manager and your store manager. And basically you're going over what it is you accomplished, and you get to look at the numbers. And it was really rewarding to see that, there was a positive impact in our sales results while I was kind of overseeing that shoes department. After the internship, I was offered the full-time manager and training program position. So I did that after I graduated from college. And then after that, I took on my first role as an assistant store manager in, the store was called Eldersburg, Maryland. So if you're not familiar, I'm from the Washington, D.C. area. So the first 2 stores that I'd worked at were pretty urban stores, very diverse clientele. And my first assignment as an assistant store manager was out in very rural Maryland. So it was a bit of a culture shock for me. I was there for a little bit over 2 years leading the soft lines departments. So that's the women's, juniors, and men's areas of the store. After that, they moved me again. So I moved up to rural Pennsylvania for my next assignment. doing the operations and the children's footwear and home part of the store. I was there for a little bit, like 10 months before I was promoted to my first assignment as a store manager. Super rewarding. The one thing I'll say about all of the programs and just Kohl's in general is Kohl's is very committed to just your personal development and your career development. So I've always been surrounded by leaders that have taken a vested interest in just what my career goals are and, you know, finding opportunities that can help me achieve them. So that's a little bit about my journey.
Awesome, very good. Great to hear both of your stories. Now, I'd like to open up to our students that are on the call to ask any questions. Feel free to drop in the question and answer option your question, and we can have our panelists answer. And then I do see somebody here has asked if we have business analyst roles. We do. That's going to be more over on our corporate ends, like I had mentioned earlier. Feel free to still fill out the same form that Chelsea dropped in. You'll just indicate your area of interest within the form. So if you are interested in tech or merchant buying, you would indicate that on the form so that we know to connect you with the correct recruiter. For the store opportunities, you'll either select store leadership internship or store leadership trainee. How many SLTs are we hiring and which locations? Does submitting a form guarantee a recruiter call back? So we do screen through all of the submission forms that we get. So if we do feel like you would potentially be a great fit, we'd definitely reach out and kind of give you next steps in the interview process. SLTs, we are looking to hire a bunch of SLTs. Like I mentioned earlier, we do place all of our store interns and SLTs in store locations that are closest to where they're going to be at for the summer. So we do have several store locations across the United States, which is awesome. We can definitely get you as close as possible to home. Just a few examples. We do have stores in Ryan's area. He's up there in the north. Lauren's in Texas. So we do have lots of stores in the Texas area, California, all states in the United States. So we can definitely get you close to where you need to be. We do also have production internships. That's more on the corporate side, as I mentioned earlier. So you would fill out that form and just indicate that you're looking at production. How quickly does the recruitment process take after the initial interview? So our interview process, we have the initial interview with a store manager. That's your first round interview. If the store manager feels that you're ready to move on or that you would be a great fit, you'll move on and you'll be scheduled for a final interview with the district manager in the district that you're going to be residing in for the summer. So we just do have 2 interviews. We try and turn around as soon as possible. So you should know pretty quick after that second interview if you're going to get the position offered to you. We do first round interviews every 2 weeks in the field. So that's kind of the schedule that we're on for interviews. I see intern positions for technology domain. Would there be any full-time opportunities for spring graduates? Yes, so for any corporate side full-time opportunities, you're going to want to go to our Kohl's Careers website. I will chat that website in the chat in just 1 second. That's going to be where all of our corporate full-time opportunities are housed. Is the store manager intern moved to the other stores / locations on a schedule? So Ryan, I don't know if you want to talk through this one for me.
Yeah, definitely. So like Danielle mentioned, for your internship and your SLT, if you're offered those roles, those will be in stores that are geographically closest to you. After you complete the SLT, for your first assignment as an assistant store manager, we do ask that you are able to be relocated within a 300-mile radius. And the reason for this is we only have so many stores and so many assistant manager positions available. So that first move is kind of a business decision based on where the opening is within that 300-mile radius. Any moves after that kind of depend on just what's going on within your district and what's going on with your relocatability. So if there's some executive turn in the district, for example, and you're able to move, then sometimes you might be moved. Anything other than that, it really depends on what's happening in the district. But for your first assignment as an assistant store manager after that store leadership training program, you could be relocated within a 300-mile radius.
Yes, very good. And just to kind of piggyback on what Ryan said, to touch a little bit more on the relo piece, for our full-time trainees, we do have packages in place. So say that you're going to have to relocate and it does require assistance. We do have some different systems in place that we can assist you if that's qualified to do that. And then also we like to make sure that we're going to put you in a store that offers you the best training experience. So another option that is something that could happen is, actually Lauren went through this too. She was known as what we call a transitional store executive after her manager in training 12 weeks. And basically what this meant is there was not any store locations that were open that were ideal for her as far as relocating at that time. So what she did is she was in the transitional status, and she hung out at the store that she trained in for 12 weeks and just continued to really build on her knowledge. She still had a set of keys. She was still getting paid her salary. She just was essentially hanging out there until something more ideal came available for her. It actually kind of worked out. I was the assistant store manager in that store. I found this new position, interviewed, got it, and Lauren was able to take over my role as assistant store manager. So, you know, things like that are always happening, always lots of people moving around, lots of people getting promoted, so we can make sure that we get you into a great store location when that time comes. Do we hire more than one SLT per store, or is it just one? So this is definitely going to depend on just the amount of people that we have going through the interview. We don't turn anyone down in the interview process. So just because we have like a cap or something doesn't mean that we're going to be like, we're done because we've hit our cap. We're all about finding great talent. So if we feel like somebody's capable, if they're going to be an asset to our team, we will do our best to try and get you into that store location. So no, we don't just have one. There are some stores that do have multiple SLTs at that time. Let's see, where could I apply for the said roles? So to apply for the said roles, Chelsea Spear dropped a little bit earlier a link into the other chat box. It is an avatar link. If you click on that, you'll be able to submit interest into that portal, and a recruiter will get to you as soon as possible. I'm in Marquette, Michigan right now. I graduate in July, and I want to know how I can get an internship here. So if you're graduating in July, you would probably be most suited for our full-time store leadership trainee position. We do have several locations in Michigan, so we could definitely look at having you begin the interview process and see if we could get you into a location there if you were to be offered. What is the biggest piece of advice if I were to be selected for the internship position? So I'll pass this over to Ryan and Lauren if y'all want to answer that one.
I can take it first. Biggest piece of advice would just be to be open to learning everything. Because you know, whether you have a lot of retail experience or you don't have any retail experience, you're going to be kind of learning everything that the company does specifically. So you're definitely going to be in a new environment. And so just ask as many questions as you can, learn everything that you can, because like I said, you could be working with people who have worked with the company for 10 plus years. So, you know, there's no end to the knowledge that you can learn from them. So just because you're coming in as a leader and someone who could possibly be leading this team one day doesn't mean that you can't ask questions, can't keep learning. I'm sure Ryan, as a store manager, you're still learning things every day from your mentors and your district managers. So just ask a lot of questions, absorb all the information, because that's what everybody at the store you're training at is going to be there for, is to help you in your development.
Yeah, like 100%, Lauren hit it on the head there. And just be hungry to learn. Like, you know, there's always gonna be, there might be some downtime in the internship. Take advantage of that time to learn something new, learn a new process, you know, learn something new. And just be humble, like be willing to learn from everybody. So I've been a store manager for 4 years. I have people in my building who have been here since they opened the store, and every day I would say they're teaching me something new. So just because you are the manager or the assistant store manager, you can learn from the people who you oversee on a daily basis.
Very good. Awesome. And just to piggyback off of Ryan, I myself was an intern, and I also had the privilege of working with several interns and store leadership trainees while I was in the stores as a manager. And I can definitely say that my biggest piece of advice for anybody that's starting our programs is just to try and put in as much as possible as you can. It's all what you put in. If you show up every day and you halfway do your job, you're not going to get much out of it. That's just the way it is. But if you show up every day with a great attitude, you put in as much as you can, 100% every single day, the benefits and the knowledge and the development that you're going to get out of this program and this experience is going to be amazing. So I know for myself, I can say that doing the internship opened up lots of great doors for me, and I know that it has for Ryan and Lauren as well. So definitely make connections if you can. That's another great one. Remember the people that you meet during your internship. You never know, down the road, you might need to make a move. You might need to go to a different store, and you knew the store manager that was in that store, that area that you're needing to go to. So it's really important just to make sure that you're maintaining those connections and also trying your best 100% all the time. And then we have a question here. When will we be doing internships for 2025 grads? So we will start recruiting our 2025 grads in the fall of 2023. So after the summer, we'll start bringing on our 2025 grads. And do we have auditing or inspection internships? I think we do, and that'll be, once again, fall on the corporate side of things. So you might just check out that interest form that Chelsea submitted and see if we have an option in the area of interest for that side of things. Does Kohl's provide visa sponsorship for international students? Unfortunately, at this time, we do not provide visa sponsorships right now. Do they have any rotation internships within production, technology, or databases? Once again, this would be more on the corp side. I don't have too much knowledge on how the rotation is. I would check out the Kohl's Careers websites or submit an interest form through the Avature link that Chelsea provided. Inventory jobs or internship, that's going to be on the corporate side as well. Do positions require citizenship or sponsor for international students provided? Yes, we do require citizenship, and we do not provide international sponsorships for our students, unfortunately. What are salary expectations for the training intern and post-training? So for our intern, it is a paid internship for 8 weeks. Our programs do start at about $20 an hour. For our full-time positions, that one's a little harder to say just because we do salary based on zones. So depending on where you're at in the United States, we do have different pay grades just because different places have different cost of living. So we'll definitely take a look at where you're going to be placed when that time comes, and we will look at that when that time comes. For post-training, like I mentioned earlier, that SLT or full-time store leadership trainee position is salaried. So once again, you would kind of look a little bit more into that once you get to that time. Is it possible to apply for positions in multiple store locations? So we don't necessarily apply directly to store locations. What we would do is we would take a look at what state you're going to be in for the internship or the SLT program. And we would pair you with the district manager, the store management team for your first round interview. If you're passed on there, you would go into a final interview with a DM from your state. And then we would have conversations then about where you're going to be living for the summer. And then you would go into the closest store to where you're going to be residing for the summer if that store is ready to go for a trainee. And it really just kind of depends on where you're living. Some areas we have several stores. Some of our rural areas, we don't have as many. It's a little bit more spread out. So it definitely just really depends on where you're at. Are the openings limited to current listings in the Kohl's website? So that is going to be more limited for like the full-time roles. For the early talent roles, so the store management trainee and then the store leadership internship, we don't really have a cap on that. We will continue to hire until we shut it off. So I believe all my peers are still looking for people right now. I don't think that we've stopped for the store roles, at least. Which recruiter can we speak to for corporate/tech positions? So once you fill out that interest form, it will fall directly into our corporate recruiters boxes, and they'll be able to reach out to you dependent upon what area of interest you submitted. Are interns paid if they are going to work outside their state of residence? Are they going to be supported with relocation? So our interns, we don't actually have a relocation package for interns. We just put interns in the store locations closest to where they're going to be at for the summer. So most generally, this is going to involve you living back at home. Some students like to stay at college and live on campus. We can definitely get you in a store close to campus if that's more ideal for you. But per se, we do not have a relocation program for interns. That's going to fall more for our full-time students that are going to be coming on board with us for that full-time role. May candidates be considered for multiple internship positions such as product development and store leadership intern upon submitting the early talent form? Yes, we have had several students that have started an interview process on one side and then have kind of decided to go to another. I recommend, if you are not too sure, if you need more clarification on one side or the other, just to reach out to us and we can definitely clarify or help you decide what you see yourself as a better fit in. But we definitely don't discriminate. You can apply to either channel if you want to. Do we offer overtime for interns? No, we do not have overtime for our interns. I apologize, I joined a little late, but I want to know if there are any marketing remote positions or all internships in person on site. So any of our corporate internships are most generally going to be located on site at our corporate offices in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. So just be prepared to probably relocate to Wisconsin if you do end up getting an internship for Kohl's corporate. That's where all of our corporate positions are located. I stand to be corrected, but it seems opportunities discussed are more geared toward undergrads. But if you're graduate students, are you going to be sidelined? No. For the store side, our store leadership trainee, we do have graduate students that do apply and interview for that role. So once again, we do not discriminate against graduate students. That's definitely a possibility too as well. What would be the main day-to-day roles and responsibilities of someone who comes into the full-time leadership position? So Lauren and Ryan, if y'all wanted to answer that one.
Yeah, I can answer it. So the day-to-day roles, it's always kind of funny when I get this question when someone asks, like, what's the typical day in the life of a store manager? Because there is no typical day in the life. But I will say the day-to-day roles, you want to make sure that you are driving, like, we call them controllable metrics at the store. So there are certain things just on a daily basis that we are responsible for driving. And some of those are like our omni-channel numbers. So we do a lot of like fulfillment and processing orders, a lot of making sure that the selling floor is, shoppable and in good condition for our customers. It's a lot of, it changes on a daily basis. So if there is a huge sale, for instance, and, everybody's tearing up like a certain area of the store, we're going to redirect our team to address that area so that it remains shoppable for our customer. We have something called customer loyalty metrics. So that's our credit card and our rewards program that we try to drive every single day. So it's metrics based, and it's also a lot of environment based, because we have to remember we're in a store that's open to the public. So we have to make sure that we're allocating our resources appropriately so that the environment is still, shoppable for our customers. I don't know if that answered the question.
Yeah, no, going off of what Ryan said, it definitely is different every day. There's no typical day in the life. But I think for me, I always try to hit each one of my departments at some point in the week so that my leads and supervisors feel supported. I think one of the hardest things going into my role is that I can't do everything. I can't be on every set. I can't be on every truck. So I just really like to spend a little time in each department every week to support the leads, to know what's going on. So you do get that department time, but like Ryan said, you gotta drive credit, you gotta drive rewards, sales, all of that. But bottom line is you're just supporting your team and supporting the customer, whatever that may look like for the week. It's something different. You may have to jump in different places. You may have to scrap your plan for the day, hop on something else. But yeah, just a little bit of everything, like Ryan said.
Awesome, very good. What is the new learning being a manager? So I don't know if y'all want to kind of touch on how we're continuously training and learning.
Yeah, so as a manager, especially as like a younger leader, we're continuously developing ourselves. So one thing we do as managers is quarterly, we participate in something called a development series. And there's a different theme each quarter that we do a webinar on just to try and develop and hone our leadership skills. So that's something we do for our continued development every single year. I would say for me, when I first took over as like an assistant store manager, one of the big learnings for me was Lauren said it earlier, you can't do everything yourself. It's all about working through your people. And so that was a learning for me when I first became an assistant store manager is, being able to effectively delegate tasks and follow up with the team to ensure that everything gets done and done appropriately.
Yeah, another thing regarding development, I think Ryan said this earlier, is Kohl's is really committed to your development and getting you where you want to go. So I've had many different mentors throughout my time. I've met a bunch of different people in different roles, not necessarily even store roles. I have people who work in corporate HR who, have been great mentors to me and great for my development because you can always learn something from everyone you come in contact with. Your store manager, your district manager, there's a great line of communication between them. So they're always pushing you to do more and, pushing your development. So you're constantly learning from everyone around you, and you meet a lot of people from store visits, from other stores, things like this. So you really just meet a lot of different people who you have a lot to learn from. So it's ever evolving in your leadership just because you meet so many people.
Awesome, very good. How long is the internship? So our internship is 8 weeks during the summer. Our start date for our internship this summer is June 5th. And like I said, you would work in a store location closest to your home address for those 8 weeks with us. 8 weeks. And then what category is inventory inspection and auditing fall under? And you can choose more than one interest. I will get back to that one. Jason asked, I graduated from college a while ago. Am I still eligible for the SLT position, or are there more suitable store leadership roles? So we do let people that have graduated a little bit ago still interview for the SLT position. If you graduated in 2022, you are still good to submit interest with us. If you are anywhere outside of 2022, I would recommend going to our Kohl's Careers website and probably submitting interest to go straight into a leadership role with us. Is there housing included? No, there is not housing included for our store interns, at least, just because we are expecting you to be close to home or close to school. So typically you don't need housing. For our corporate interns, we do have housing that's provided on that side. But like I said, I don't know as much about that, but I do know that they do have some housing offerings for our interns. After beginning the interview process for the store leadership intern position, how can I reach out to recruiters to apply for and potentially begin the interview process for the product development internship to expand opportunities? So we can definitely get you into contact on our end. Like I said, I work closely with the other side of the thing, recruiters, so the corporate recruiters. I have contact with them every single day. I see them every day via video. So definitely just reach out to whatever recruiter you receive communication from when you start the interview process, and we can kind of get you in contact with who you need to be. All of our emails will be on the communication that you get. And I have a couple of questions myself that I wanted to ask. Lauren and Ryan, could y'all speak a little bit to work-life balance and what you enjoy most about Kohl's effort with work-life balance?
Yeah, definitely. So I will say Kohl's has probably the best work-life balance of any retailer. So I've never worked in retail besides Kohl's, but I have friends who have worked in retail. I have friends who are store directors and assistant store managers with other retailers. And I will say what Kohl's offers doesn't even, like what they offer doesn't even come close to what Kohl's offers. So I'll just start with our working schedule. So For the week, as a salaried executive, we do about 45 hours a week, 9-hour days typically. We are expected to close at least once a week, and it's alternating. But one of the cool things we do is typically your leadership schedule is available a month in advance. So that's one thing I do for my team. Kind of depends on your store manager, but typically those leadership schedules are made available a month in advance, so you can really plan, what you need to get done. If you have appointments during the week, if you need a certain day of the week off, typically your store manager can work with you on that. But aside from that, we have really generous PTO. They just changed it, so I don't remember what it is when you first come on board. I know, like, I have, I think, 23 days of PTO, which is a lot. That's pretty generous. And then in addition to PTO, we have something called they're like comp days, holidays, where every quarter, as well as your birthday, you get a refresh day to kind of take a mental health day and just take a break. But yeah, I will say that the work-life balance is awesome. There is going to be times, it is retail, where you do have to work a longer shift. Things shift with the needs of the business. You might have a visit coming and you work maybe a 12-hour day, but the expectation from all of my managers has been, yeah, we're going to do that, but we're going to make that up once we finish this project, or once we get through this visit. That's kind of the expectation. And I will say all of my managers have been very respectful of my time off. It's not something where you're getting phone calls, or if you get an email, it's not an expectation that you're answering that on your day off. That's just kind of the corporate culture that Kohl's has.
Yeah,
Yeah.
covered everything. Yeah, I was amazed with the amount of PTO I got, right out of college. We talked about going into senior year with like a job already lined up, and that was very different from people I went to school with, having to worry about a job after graduation, but also like the salary that you end up with and the amount of PTO that you end up with. It's just so competitive to any other, job starting out right out of college. Like Ryan said, your managers are really respectful of your time. You always have a day if you need it. If you need to take a day off, if you need, whatever, it's super flexible. So, yeah, you're going to put in your time, you're going to put in your 45 hours, but you definitely get compensated for the time that you put in.
Yeah. And one thing that I really liked or enjoyed, at least, was us being able to rotate weekends. I know when Lauren and I were together in the store, because we had another assistant manager and then a store manager along with myself, we were able to rotate weekends. So it was nice getting every other weekend off. And like Ryan and Lauren both said, your store manager should be, very accommodating to you, just as long as you let them know in advance of what you need. If you have doctor's appointments, or, you just have something coming up that you need to be away for, as long as you let them know and they can work that into the schedule ahead of time, we can definitely make that work. We also have different policies in place. So, if somebody unfortunately passes away in your family and you need to take bereavement leave, we do offer that. We have health insurance for our full-time employees as well. So if you need to be covered on health insurance, we have that. We have a 401k program that we let all of our employees contribute to if they choose. We just have a plethora of different benefits and opportunities out there for our associates. So one thing that I also wanted to kind of get into quickly is our BRGs. I don't know if Ryan and Lauren, if either of you are part of any of the BRGs. I know I'm in the African American Professionals BRG, as well as Pride BRG. Are you two in any of our groups?
Yeah, so I actually serve as one of the field ambassadors for the Southeast Territory for our Asian Pacific Business Resource Group. And I'm also part of the Young Professionals Business Resource Group.
Amazing. So what we're talking about, all of you out there, is we do have BRGs at Kohl's, and basically these are different groups that we've created. And our main kind of motto for these groups is you don't have to be to belong, which I really love. So say that you wanted to join the African American Professionals group, but you don't directly identify with that, that's totally fine. You're free to join it so that you can become an ally. I know for myself, it's really important for me to be in some of these other groups because I do deal directly with people every day. I'm recruiting people and bringing them into the company. So I really want to understand what makes people comfortable, what doesn't make them comfortable. So just know that we do offer these BRGs to all of our associates to join. They do a lot of great things within the company. We have BRG days where all these groups get to kind of showcase what they're working on. We have a lot of events at corporate for these BRGs. And some of the other ones that we do have, we have women's professional BRG, we had young professionals like Ryan mentioned, we have a military or veterans group, we have diverse abilities, we have Asian Pacific, like we mentioned, Pride. Yeah, we have several of these groups, and we really encourage, if you do end up coming on with us, that you join one and kind of experience it. We're really, really proud of the work that we've done with all those BRGs, and we're super excited to be able to offer them to all of our associates and our workers. So don't forget about that. And then one more thing that I wanted to kind of touch on, because I know it's near and dear to my heart, Ryan and Lauren's heart, is our volunteer initiative at Kohl's. So if you're one that enjoys to volunteer in your free time, you're at the right place. We do have a volunteer program that we have put into place at Kohl's. It does give our store associates opportunity to go out into the field and to volunteer at a charity of their choice. And then also our corporate associates also get the opportunity to volunteer as well on that side. Just for an example of some things that we've done in the past. So for my store, we would go to the pet shelter a lot. Lauren's done that with me. We would go and we would clean out kennels, we would feed dogs, we would walk dogs, we would make dog toys. That one was always really fun. Boys and Girls Club is a huge one that we volunteer for within a team at Kohl's. So would love going and hanging out with the kids once a week. Some other ones that we've done, the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. We've done Pride walks. Ryan, what are some ones that you've done up in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, so when I was an intern, we did one with my district as well as the Baltimore district with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So that was a really cool opportunity, just getting all the interns together, just another way to connect. Boys and Girls Club, like you mentioned, is huge. We had an opportunity at my store where the Youth of the Year winners actually got to come and shop at my store. So that was really cool. And then another one that we do a lot is American Cancer Society. So we support a lot of the Relay for Life events. Actually, in one of the stores that I worked in, we had a part-time associate who worked full-time with ACS. So she was just funneling all sorts of events to us that we were able to help support. And it's a really great way to just get out into the community. It's great because the nonprofit organization that you support actually gets a volunteer grant based on how many hours you volunteer. And it's just a great way to also interact with your team outside of the work environment. So it's great for just team building. So it's almost like a twofer. You're helping this nonprofit organization and you get to bond with your team. So it's a win-win. I always loved doing them.
Yes, it's awesome. Another one that kind of came to my mind that was really great for us and rewarding was the Ronald McDonald House. So we got to go and kind of work with the kids that had ailments. So that was a really rewarding one too as well. And then I'm also over the volunteer piece for our internship this summer. So I'm actually working right now with some of our partners to get some volunteer events going for our interns that participate in the stores this summer. So we're working really hard on that, and hopefully we can get some great events for all of our people that are participating in the internship this summer. Let me see what else we can touch on. We have a few more minutes. Are there any more questions out there, I guess I could ask? Oh, what is the schedule, or where can we get info for volunteering? So if you go to that Kohl's Careers website, we do have a piece on there about volunteering. If you do end up getting the internship or a role with us on the corporate side for summer, your store manager or your sponsor will reach out to you to kind of get that organized so that you can participate during the summer with us.
Yeah, also if you have a cause that you're passionate about, you can, and you're in a store, you can get, some associates together and support the cause that's close to your heart. It doesn't have to be, the Boys and Girls Club. It doesn't have to be something that we set up. You can set it up yourself if that's what you're passionate about, and do something that would benefit something in your community.
Absolutely. I have a question. If you both could go back in time, so say whenever you were sitting in these students' shoes, what piece of advice would you give yourself back then?
That's a good one. I think it would be to I don't know. I think going into my leadership role, I talked a lot about delegation. And I think what I could tell myself would be, you don't have to do everything to be a good leader. A lot of being a good leader is listening to your employees, supporting your employees. You can't do everything all at once, and retail is super fast paced, it's super busy. So there is a lot to do. And that doesn't, you don't measure your success by how much stuff you get done in one day. You measure it by being a good leader, by driving results with your team. So I think it would just be to kind of change your perspective on what being a good leader is, because you definitely learn a lot through your years of working in retail, and maybe your expectations going into it aren't what they end up being. So just keep an open mind.
I would say, because one thing that wasn't really mentioned to me was just the importance of networking and really building your network as you start your internship. So if you do choose to come on board with us as an intern, definitely stay in touch with those students that interned with you. Stay in touch with your training store manager because you just never know. So one example for me, it's very full circle. One of the assistant store managers who was in my store as an intern, she was since promoted. And now I'm working back in her same district, and she's now my peer. And it's like really cool to look at, oh, remember when I was the intern in your store and you taught me this? So yeah, just definitely don't underestimate the power of networking. Just stay in touch and don't be afraid. Like if you do choose to come on board, to reach out if you're not sure of anything. Like that's why we have the training store manager. You'll be paired with an intern coach if you do choose to intern. You have your early talent contacts. Just don't be afraid to build that network as you're starting out your career.
Yeah, absolutely. That network connections is so important. Speaking as somebody that went from store side to corporate side, it was so important that I made connections, because now in this role that I'm in, I have to constantly work with stores. I'm constantly scheduling them for interviews. I'm scheduling them for career fairs. I'm having to reach out to talk through interviews and feedback. So it's just really good that I was able to make these connections, because now it makes it a lot easier working with people because I already knew them prior. So it's like Brian said, that's one of the most powerful things you can do, is just to make those connections constantly, any opportunity that you have, because you never know what you might need down the road. Have another question. What is the chances for applicants on the corp tech side? Is it very competitive? So I will be real, it is pretty competitive on the corporate side. Reason being is because there's not as many positions to be had over there as opposed to stores. We have several more positions in the store side. So in my opinion, yes, it is pretty competitive. What are y'all most proud of thus far? So I guess looking all the way back to when you started to now, what are you most proud of?
I will go first. I think for me, what I'm most proud of is getting into this leadership role as young as I was, and making it work. Because I think I've mentioned it like 5 times. It's super intimidating to go into a store fresh out of college. You're 22 and you're working with people who are so much older than you, and you're having to earn their respect and earn your place. And I had a great team, so I never really had any issues with that. But I think just building my confidence as a leader so young, and being able to tackle this role right out of college, and maintaining my leadership role, gaining the respect of my team from a young age, just because it is so intimidating. So that's probably what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, I would agree. Mine is pretty similar. It's just, coming in, not being very fresh as a leader and, making it work. I'm always like really proud when I look back at some of the other stores that I used to work in and just seeing like the impact that you make. So it's always really cool when you're working at a store and, you see it improve, and then you leave the store to take on whether it's a more complex assignment or for some other reason, and the store is still being successful because of just some of those practices that you were able to put in place while you were there leading the team. So that's always super rewarding for me, looking back and seeing the stores I used to work in be successful still.
Absolutely. And you're both so young and already doing such amazing things. And I think that that's something that I just love about Kohl's is the fact that they trust, young individuals to run these multi-million-dollar buildings so quickly. I know I remember when I came out of my MIT training, just taking a step back and being like, whoa, like this is coming full circle. I'm a manager of a multi-million-dollar location. Like, I just think it's great that they trust us and they invest in us so much to run these buildings and to develop teams. So I know that both of you are an amazing asset to Kohl's, and we're so proud of both of you and all that you've done so far, especially coming out of early talent. So cool. Awesome. Well, we're at 4:57 Central. Does anybody have any other last minute questions? I don't want to miss anybody. So if there's any last minute questions, go ahead and drop them in so that we don't miss you before we go. Ryan and Lauren, is there anything else that y'all wanted to add before we go?
Just best of luck to everybody in your undergrad careers and with your career searches. And we hope you choose Kohl's to kickstart your career, whether it's store side or corporate.
Very good.
Yeah.
And it looks like we just had 2 more pop in. 1 second, Lauren. Can I apply for both corp and store? Yes, you can. And what's the best path to apply and get our resume looked at when we apply to the position? So once you submit interest to that portal link, the Avature link, it will fall into all of the recruiters folders. So any store interest, I will get them and I'll reach out, or any of the other store recruiters on my team. If it's corp interest, it will fall into the appropriate corp recruiters box and they'll be able to reach out to you that way. We do look at all of the submissions. So you'll hear from us regardless if we're going to move forward or not. I've had an interview for an internship. I haven't heard back. Who should I contact? You're going to want to contact the recruiter that was working with you. You should have probably received an email from them. So just reach out to that email. Our resumes ATS scanned or reviewed by an actual recruiter. All of the resumes are reviewed by all of us. So we go through each resume hand by hand. Well, it's on the computer, but we do look through each resume for our areas. It gives you the opportunity to upload your resume on your end, and then we will review it. If for any reason it didn't attach on your side, we will reach out. We'll send you an email that will give you access to re-upload your resume again. All righty. Well, we really appreciate you all taking the time out of your evening to join us. We loved being able to talk a little bit about Kohl's and all of our journeys. We hope that you'll consider, coming on board with us, going through the interview process. Like I said, please feel free to fill out that form, and you should hear from a recruiter within 1 to 7 days. But other than that, I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and hopefully we will all cross paths soon.